So this new Swedish Netflix series is based on the book, not the animation series, just like the animation series was based on the book. So if you're concerned that you've watched the animation, you're wondering what they're going to do, if they're going to take things away from it, this is their own interpretation of what comes from the book. But is it enjoyable? Let's talk about it. Ronja follows the adventures of a young girl born into a band of robbers in a medieval Scandinavian fortress. As Ronja grows up, she learns that the surrounding forest can be a magical and sometimes dangerous place, filled with strange creatures. First, I want to say that the protagonist, Ronja, the actress that plays it, looks so like the young Eleven that we had in Stranger Things. At times I was like, wow, that really does look like her. Could be a long lost twin sister. I'll put up 2 images so you can see what I'm talking about. But I thought this was one of the most interesting and different stories, as well as one of the most frustrating. And I'm just going to get that negativity out of the way immediately, because these 6 episodes are actually just part 1. There's nothing that they've said in their synopsis going, oh, this is just the first part. No, this is the part 1, and it ends in a place that's so very frustrating. It ends where all our storylines, and there's multiple tangents that our storylines are going on. We're following Ronja, we're following her band of merry men, or her father's band of merry men, and another band of merry men, and soldiers, and a whole bunch of other stories that are coming to a head, kind of all meeting up in a similar place. Everything's going crazy, and that's where it ends. It doesn't even conclude remotely. So if you hate that sort of ending, this is going to frustrate you somewhat. However, the positives: there's a lot of fun to be had here. So let's talk about the cinematography. For one, the cinematography here is beautiful, mostly because of the surrounding that they got to film in. Between the different seasons that you see in this series is beautiful to look at the different seasons. As Ronja grows up, you get to be in and amongst this wooded place. That's a mystical word, but it's also wonderful to look at. And so as we get to see Ronja growing up, her innocence and the beauty around her, we get to experience that with her, and that is showcased through a number of animals and mystical creatures, good and bad and evil, and the way they have designed those I thought were very cool. So the cinematography looks great at night and during the day. Very well done. And when it comes to the acting, I think this is a different take on the medieval. It's not like straight Game of Thrones, but it's not like straight Vikings. It's more of a grounded, almost indie project vibe feel to it. In fact, the whole story is that. So when it comes to the acting, that's the dialogue they're given, adapted from this story, and I think they do well with it. When it comes to Ronja and her other protagonist that she meets along the way, a friend, without doing massive spoilers, I think they play off each other very well. It's a fish out of water, best friends, love blossoming, that kind of thing that falls into place. And I think she plays the innocence part of it very well. And I'm sorry if you can hear a storm in the background. The UK's weather at the moment is crazy. When it comes to other actors in this, we have the band of merry men, and you have a town that's nearby that we have different storylines kind of flowing in and out of our main story as we see Ronja grow up. And I think everybody is given enough kind of backstory for you to care about them somewhat, but really the story mostly focuses on Ronja, her father and mother, and what's going on there. It starts off with a massive kind of, whoa, this is kind of action, but there isn't that much action in it. Don't go in thinking this is medieval fantasy action. Rather go in thinking this is a slice of life drama with some fantastical elements in it, driven by the story and the growing up of our character. And I think all the actors do a fantastic job with that. And when it comes to the story itself, I've already mentioned how it ends in part 1, but the story has many facets. Even though we are following Ronja, our protagonist, the story starts off as a mystical element of something that we know a little bit about. There seems to be a lot of mystical moments as a foretold prophecy sort of thing as Ronja's born. And then as we grow up with Ronja, she encounters life, and the story of that is the interesting part. But then we get this moral sort of compass as her family that she lives with, her extended family that aren't really her family, the other guys that are the robbers as well, are wonderful. They all treat each other like family. You kind of want to be around them. They're wonderful to each other. They look after each other. They are each other's best friends and family, and they would do anything for each other as well as die for each other. I like that aspect of it. But what they do in real life is rob from merchants and people that are good as well. So you have this balance of, are they really the good guys? They're not really. They just steal because they can. It's the easy way to live. But they're also wonderful parents, and they're also just normal people and flawed. I like all of that. I think it works well because it gives you that moral conundrum. And so when we meet another band of robbers that have an equal part that mess with their lives, and then we have the villagers who hire someone to protect the village, it starts getting really complicated. I like that about it. It could have just been your run-of-the-mill, Robin Hood. He's robbing from the rich to give to the poor. Rather, this is just living. I like all of that. So they are great anti-heroes. But Ronja is the one that kind of doesn't want to go down the path. She's questioning her upbringing, her parents, that sort of thing. And that is very interesting to me. So that when we get to that 6th episode and it goes end of part 1, the story there so far has been great, but it really pissed me off at how they left it. So for a part 1, I would rate it a solid 3.5, probably 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
And you got one.
But that's only because I haven't seen part 2. It probably would start at a 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5 because of its uniqueness, its grounded feeling, its platforming, the mixture of the cinematography and the cinematic landscapes that we have that lend its air to the fantastical nature. And then when we see the creature creations that are equal parts scary but also funny, I think that works really well to create something new and unique. If you haven't seen the animated series, I would suggest maybe watching the live action first, or if you haven't read the book, watch the live action first, and then if you want to delve more into the nuances of that, or not wait for that end of part 1 and go find out what happens next, then you can do that. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that the part 2 is coming really soon, and they've just split it up to kind of give themselves more watch time so that we'll see the conclusion very soon. But for now, I thought this was really good, really fun, different, and I like fun, different. I like the fact that it's Swedish. I like the fact that they've kept that feeling of that indie grounded nature, but still have some crazy special effects that I don't know that they necessarily look real, but they do look fantastical in nature, and I like that. Everything you see of the creature creations looks different and weird, not your normal creature design, which I liked. Different, innovative, strange, and wonderful, yet frustrating at the same time. So let me know your thoughts and feelings about this series. Have you heard of it? Had you watched the anime? Had you read the book? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks so much for watching. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday. And just by the way, the Live Long and Tuesday merchandise shelf can be found in the link below or on the shelf, as you can see. If you want to be a part of the Ruby Tuesday brand, it's all on there, from a mug to shirts and hoodies. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the Ruby Tuesday. Loads more reviews coming out this week. But until next time, remember, you guys rock.